Welcome to the channel. So I got a crazy story for you guys. Terrible tragedy that happened in our town. Uh, Early in the morning, there was a young lady driving home, driving on the freeway, and I don't know exactly where she was going. If she was going home or to work or something like that, but she was driving on the freeway, and she got a blowout on her car. Tire blew out. She pulled over to the shoulder of the road, called for help. She was over on the left hand side of the road, but it was an area where there was a shoulder. Some areas the freeway does not have a shoulder on the left hand side, but I think she was in an area that had a pretty wide area where she could pull over to the left. She had a flat tire, a blowout, catastrophic blowout, I would imagine. She pulled over to the left hand side of the road, called for help. I think her dad was on the way to assist her with this flat tire, but the young lady had a baby in the back seat. Baby was secured inside the car seat, was secured properly and everything. And before help could arrive, someone hit her car going 70 miles an hour, flipping the car over, killing the baby, causing a lot of injury to her. And she ended up going to the hospital. Anyway, I didn't see anything. I was actually in the area at the time. I probably missed it by a few minutes or so. It was a weird situation at work where I ended up staying later at work against my will. I mean, I didn't want to stay late that day, but for whatever reason, I had to stay later. Ended up getting off work at about 4:42, which put me right there. I didn't see anything, but based on the time frame that everything happened, I would have been close, and I just missed everything. So the next day I wake up and my wife Donna tells me the story. She goes, "Did you hear about the baby that died on 94?" And I said, "No, tell me." She told me the story. It was on the news. So she tells me the story, and I'm thinking right away, like, I was right there just this morning because I worked late. How crazy is it that I missed this terrible accident? Like, life can be cut so short so quickly. I literally missed a horrific accident just by chance. I mean, it could have very well been me who had maybe overworked, maybe couldn't stay awake, maybe was drifting over to the side of the road. Now, lately, I've been really good about that. Working these crazy shifts. It's not that hard. It's not that uncommon. Just talk to the people in the plant. A lot of us will tell you that there's times where we sometimes fall asleep on the way home. I've been really good about getting extra rest so that I don't have that issue. But there's been times in the past where I've kind of drifted on the road a little bit. Hit the warning signs, not the warning signs, but the thing on the side of the road where it wakes you up, it vibrates. I've hit that before. And one time I fell asleep and hit the median wall. There was no damage because I was in the truck, but it's happened before in the past. So, over the years working these crazy shifts. So it just made me think, I really did relate to the story. I don't know who hit her or what the circumstances were, if there was alcohol involved. I assume that there was no alcohol involved because the police, they didn't mention anything about alcohol. All they said is that it was a Toledo man who was involved in the accident. They took him to jail and then eventually let him go. So I'd imagine that there was no alcohol involved. But the baby ended up going to the hospital and then losing his life at the hospital. And the young girl ended up, she ended up going to the hospital and had a lot of injuries. I don't know exactly what injuries, but you can imagine at 70 miles an hour, you're looking at a long road to recovery, physically and emotionally. So anyway, moving forward, I hear about the story from my wife. The next day comes around and my mom calls me, and then she mentions her friend who I've met at the restaurant that she goes to. She's a waitress. My mom goes and sees her friend who works at the restaurant. She um, likes to go see her friend there. I've actually met this woman before when my young son was just born. I remember taking him to the restaurant because that's my mom's favorite restaurant, and her friend was our waitress, and they were having a good time, and we were showing the baby to her friend, and she pulled out her phone and showed me pictures of her grandbaby. It was the baby that lost his life on the freeway. So my mom called and said, "Do you remember my friend from the restaurant?" And I said, "Yeah, what about?" She goes, "That was the one who was her grandkid was involved in an accident." And right away my heart dropped even more because now it's somebody that my mom knew who was involved in an accident. And I remember now talking to her, and she's showing me all the pictures, and we had a long conversation about the baby. She described him to me. So it's just crazy how these tragedies just hit so close to home, and it really makes you realize how small the world really is. And as you know, I've been having some issues here with my neighbor, and I've been worried about the safety here with the dogs jumping the gate. But at the end of the day, you don't know when it's your time. I mean, all you can do, I guess, is just do your best to try to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. But I think that's why I had such a big issue with the neighbor and his dog, his large dogs getting into our yard, because the fact that tragedies do happen, dogs, babies, things like that, things happen, and you try to do everything you can to prevent it. But at the end of the day, you can't do everything. Like, you don't know what's coming. So it really is just so crazy that this baby that lost his life was born in the same month as my son, the same year, the same month. They were the same age. They were only different off by a few days, but born in the same month and the same year. What a crazy coincidence. And the fact that I was there, pretty much could have seen it, judging by the time reported by the police, the time that it happened. I pretty much could have seen it. I pretty much could have been there. I literally just missed it by a few minutes. Also, another development after the accident happened and everything, and they didn't tell anybody. The girl was pregnant and she lost the baby. And it's just a crazy situation because Donna's pregnant as well. And she's probably about as far along as this young lady would have been. We just told everybody. How crazy are these coincidences? It seems it's unreal that this tragedy happened, and it really makes you realize that life is short. Life can be cut really short. This situation, just about a year and 6 months old, and already lost his life. It's just a really sad situation. I don't really know. It just blows my mind that this thing happens, but these things do happen, and just it's a big eye opener, especially for the people. I would imagine that the guy who fell asleep, I would imagine it was a situation where the guy fell asleep at the wheel. We don't know. I don't know, but I do know this happened to me a few times over the years, and it really makes you realize, like, if you can't stay awake, just pull over, figure it out. What I've done in the past is just kind of pulled over, got off the road, got out and went to hit the liquor store, picked up something to eat, some kind of chips or candy or something like that, maybe an energy drink, maybe a soda, something just to get you home. But just a tragic story. Comment below, tell me what you think about this story. How crazy are the coincidences surrounding me being there at the time, just missing the accident by maybe a few minutes, have met the grandmother, talked about the baby being born at the same time as my son, same age, born within a few days of each other. The girl was a white female, but the baby was mixed, just like our son. with my wife being white and me being black. Just another coincidence, just to put on top of the whole situation. Anyway, tragic story. Comment below. Tell me what you think about this. Have a great day and hope to hear from you soon. Bye.